Welcome everyone to the BISD Scholarship Program information session. We are going to allow some of the other participants to join, so we will begin very shortly. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining tonight's session for the Birdville ISD Scholarship Program. We again like to thank you for joining us tonight. For those of you who tried to join last week, we sincerely apologize. We were running through some technical issues, but we are so happy that you are able to join us tonight. We do have a lot of information for you guys, so we hope that all of your questions will be answered. My name is Mee Jones. I'm the College Access Coordinator for the Northeast Service Area. So Birdville ISD is one of the districts that I serve. The College Access is a free program offered through TCC that provides pre-college information and assistance for all Tarrant County high schools. So if you saw me, if you participated in the College Access program in the fall, you may have seen me. Otherwise, I am here as a resource for you guys. If you have any questions about the admissions process or anything like that, okay? Before we get started with the actual presentation, I do want to go over some housekeeping rules. There is going to be a Q&A feature that you will be able to ask questions. We do welcome questions, okay? We will be monitoring those questions. We may not be able to get to your questions during the presentation itself, but know that we are going to email all attendees those questions and responses sometime this week, okay? And then the last thing is, if you have any personal information or personal situations that you want to ask, please refrain from asking that in the Q&A. We will have contact information at the end of the presentation, so you can ask those questions and we will do our very best to answer those. So with that, we are going to start our presentation. I'm going to pass it on to Monica with the Testing Center. She's going to go over the testing requirements for incoming students.
Hi everyone, my name is Monica Carrion. I am from the Testing Services Department on Northeast Campus. We just changed our name from Testing Center to Testing Services. So if you have any documents that say Testing Center and now I'm mentioning Testing Services, don't get confused. We're the same department, same people, just the name change. So today, I'm going to go over what the TSI assessment is and everything that you'll need to be prepared and what exemptions you can use in place of the TSI assessment. Okay, so the TSI assessment is a test to determine if you are college level ready or not. This consists of 3 tests for writing, reading, and math. It is not a fail or pass test. It is untimed, so you can take as long as you need. Everything is on the computer. We don't have anything written on paper, and you do receive your scores as soon as you complete your test. And again, I'm going to cover everything as if we would be testing on campus. Unfortunately, all of our TCC campuses are closed, but you would take the test as if you were testing in our lab. So the same rules would apply. And then I'll cover some ground rules for testing online through Examity, which is our online proctor. Okay, do I have to take the TSI test? If you don't have any exemptions, unfortunately, yes, you do have to take the test. And the exemptions for the TSI are as follows: the ACT, PSATs, SATs, or if you took your STAR or your EOC test. Now, these 4 exemptions, if you score high enough, will exempt you from certain parts of the test. If you have any of those scores, those scores will be handled by the registrar. If you take them over to us in testing services, we cannot enter them in. Only the registrar can do that. We cannot enter any scores unless they're TSI scores. These scores are only valid for 5 years from the date that you tested, and you can only submit one of these exemptions. If you took all four of these tests and you want to submit them as exemptions, unfortunately, we can only accept one. Okay, so if you took the ACT, your exemption would be, you would be exempt from the writing and reading or the math based on your score. So you would need a composite score of 23 and a 19 or higher on English and or math. If you took the SATs or the PSATs, the scores would be the same. You would have to have a combined score of 1070 if you took the test prior to March 2016. And then you would have to have a minimum of 500 on the math to be considered exempt from math, including a minimum of 500 on critical reading to be considered exempt in writing and reading. And again, these scores are for tests prior to March 2016. Now, if you took the SAT after March 2016, they did change it up. They don't combine the scores. So you would need a minimum of 530 on math to be considered exempt in math, and then a minimum of 480 on the evidence-based reading and writing to be exempt in writing and reading. Now, keep in mind you cannot combine scores. If you took your SAT twice, once prior to March and once after March 2016, you cannot combine those scores. You would have to use either one. Now moving on to the STAR and the EOC test, your requirements are an Algebra 2 score of level 2, a Reading English 3 EOC level 2, or a Writing English 3 EOC level 2. And if all of this gets confusing, you can always shoot us an email, call us, or contact us, and we can always explain it to you. I know it's a little confusing. Do I have to pay? If you are a 2019-2020 high school graduate from a Tarrant County high school, you do not have to pay as long as you live in Tarrant County. I have a student who contacted me the other day. I can't remember which high school she went to, but she lived in Rome, Texas. And in the system, that's considered out of county. So unfortunately, she did have have to pay, although she attended, I want to say it was Northwest High School, which is part of Tarrant County. But unfortunately, where she resides is outside Tarrant County. My seniors, your last day to test for free is August 24th, 2020, which is, I believe, the first day of the fall semester for the 2020-2021 school year. That's a mouthful to say. Retests are free for high school students and TCC bound students. So let's say my seniors test between now and August 24th. If you need to retest, as long as you are coming to TCC, as long as you are intending to take classes at TCC, you will test for free. Now, let's say you are a high school senior, you want to use that free TSI test because you're a high school graduate within the current year, you're more than welcome to do that. However, if you decide to retest and you're taking your scores to a different institution, let's say you were accepted to UTA or UNT, a different institution, you would have to pay that $10 fee for each section. But again, just keep in mind, that first time you take your TSI test for all 3 parts, you are testing for free because you are a high school graduate within the current year. Okay, how do I prepare for the TSI test? You can find information on our TCC homepage. If you just click on the admission button and if you scroll down, click on testing centers. I don't know that they've changed that on our website yet. If you click on testing centers or testing services, it'll bring you to links that you can practice with. So they have sample questions straight from AccuPlacer or College Board, which is the website that creates the test. So that's as close as you're going to get to taking the test. And there's also an app that was developed by that website that will have practice questions on there. It's a free app. You'll just have to download it on your tablet or your computer or your cell phone, whichever device you prefer to use. And from there, you'll be able to complete your test or practice. And then, of course, listed below are additional websites you can practice with. Okay, so requirements for testing. This would be our normal process to test on campus. So even if we're not on campus, this is something that you can expect to do online as well. You will need a valid government issued ID. It can be a high school ID, your driver's license, or your passport. If you do not have an ID, unfortunately, you cannot take your test online. You will have to wait until we resume testing on campus for you to test, and from there we would work something out. But to take your test online, you absolutely need a photo ID. And then what you would do is make sure that you obtain a test referral from one of our success coaches. And you would email them at this email address, ne.northeast.successcoach@tccd.edu. And we do not allow any cell phones or calculators while you're testing. Now, there is a calculator that does pop up on certain problems of the math portion, but it's not for all problems, just for some. Now, what you need to do before you test is complete your pre-assessment activity, and Mee may have gone through this part with you while she was on campus with you guys, but in case you've forgotten or in case you missed out or you haven't had a chance to do that, what you would do is access the pre-assessment activity from your web advisor. You would log into your web advisor. Under your student menu, you'll find the link that says pre-assessment activity. It's a 20-25 minute video that is a state requirement for you to watch before you can take the test. And if you don't answer correctly, then you will get kicked out of the test, unfortunately. So the other services that we offer in testing services is AP credit. If you have any AP credit to submit, or if you would like to club out, what you'll do is contact April Wagnon. She does work in testing services, but she handles strictly AP credit and CLEP. So this is her contact information that you'll want to go ahead and jot down. That way you can reach out to her, and she's really good about reaching back to students and answering emails and responding to voicemails. The other test that we offer is the ALEX test. That test, based on your score, will allow you to test into a higher level math, higher than Math 1314, which is college algebra. And unfortunately, that test is currently on hold. Since we've been home-based and working remotely, unfortunately, we just don't have the ALEX test up and running. However, if you are interested in taking the ALEX test, just shoot us an email or give us a call, and we'll put your name on the waiting list for the ALEX test, so that way we can get back to you as soon as it's resumed. But just so you know, before you can take the ALEX test, the system has to reflect that you are TSI Met in math. We won't be able to administer the test to you if we don't have anything reflecting in the system that you are TSI Met in math. Okay, so moving on to online testing. Before you test, what you'll do is you'll complete a testing services agreement, and this is just a glimpse of what it looks like. I know the text is kind of small, you may not be able to read everything, but this agreement is specific to testing online based on the proctor that we use. We do have an agreement that we have students sign for on-campus testing, but for online testing, this agreement is specific to online testing, and that's a document that one of the success coaches will provide you with, or we can send it to you from testing services in case the success coach forgets. Okay, so like I said, Examity is our live online third-party proctor. So unfortunately, we in testing services don't have the means to proctor the test for students like we do on campus. So we had to outsource it to an online proctor, and that's Examity. They're the ones who organize and create the testing appointments. So once you're ready to test, we'll give you further instructions and you'll schedule your appointment with them. In order to do any online testing, you do need to have internet service. You need to have a webcam, because the proctor will be watching you take your test the entire time. I know it's a little weird to have someone watching you, but basically if we were on campus testing, that's what our proctors would be doing anyway. They would be making sure that everything is going smoothly and that you're taking your test. You need a speaker and microphone. And once you have your account set up with Examity, there are certain tests that they can run that will diagnose if you have, if your program is compatible or if your laptop is compatible. The assessment is taken during testing appointments. So again, these are testing appointments that is scheduled with Examity, not TCC staff. TCC staff will just relay the information to Examity so that you can take your test and take the appropriate test. Now, Examity does charge a $20 proctor fee, again, because they are third party. TCC will cover 3 attempts, 3 testing appointments. Should the student decide to test for the 4th time and anything after, the student then resumes responsibility for the test. They will have to pay the $20 proctor fee up front, and I believe it increases to $25 June 15th or something like that. So just an FYI, if you need to take your TSI test, use your testing appointments wisely. If you can, get everything done within those 3 appointments so that you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. Now, when testing online, there are no breaks. You cannot have any food or drinks, and it has to be a distraction-free area. And these are guidelines based on Examity, because what you'll have to do is you'll have to show them your testing area, and they'll have to see that it adheres to their guidelines and that there's no distractions. Unlike in our testing lab, you would be able to take breaks, get a snack if you need to, but unfortunately with Examity, that's not the case. Now, what you can do is break down your test into sections. So let's say you need to test for all 3 parts, writing, reading, and math. So what we do is we give you the option of breaking down your test. So if you want, you can test for each section one at a time. During the month that we've had testing resumed, I've had students that completed their test all in one sitting without any breaks. I've had students who wanted to do 2 sections at a time, and then that last section they save for their 2nd attempt, and then they save their 3rd attempt as a retest for whichever section they feel they didn't do well in. So that's all up to you. That's the option that we give you guys so that you're comfortable in your testing environment. And again, just make sure that you obtain your testing referral from one of our success coaches. They'll make sure that you have everything complete. They'll make sure that you have your pre-assessment activity complete, and they'll issue you your testing referral accordingly. And then from that point, after you contact them, you'll contact us at Testing Services to let us know that you're ready to test, and we'll give you further instructions from there. Again, your testing services agreement will need to be completed before you test. So again, that's something that the success coach will send you, or we can send you. It's not a problem, but just something that needs to be completed before we can allow you to test. If you need to retest, you'll go through the same process. You only need to sign that agreement once, but what you'll do is you'll contact an advisor, let them know that you weren't happy with your initial score, you want to retest, and then they'll issue you, well, rather than issue you a retest form, what they'll do is upload it to your record. And in testing services, we can see that, and we'll set up your test based on that referral or however you want to break down your test. And one more thing before I come to a close. On campus, we usually give students 14 days to complete your test, and that's what will be covered in the PAW, in your pre-assessment activity. Unfortunately, that's not the case when you're taking your test online. You will have to complete your test all in one sitting while you're taking it online. So again, just think about how you want to break up your test sessions. You won't have that 14 calendar day period. All right, so this is our contact information. This is our phone number, 817-515-6868. Someone is always manning the phones during operating hours. So you're more than welcome to give us a call. Don't be shy. Just because we're working from home and we might have toddlers running around, just give us a call. We will answer the phone. There's always someone answering phones. Our operating hours for the summer are 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we're answering phones, we're answering emails all day. We're working with students all day. Just keep in mind, holiday hours are still in effect. We will be closed during the 4th of July holiday weekend, just like we were closed for this past Memorial Day weekend. And again, here is our email address. You're more than welcome to shoot us any emails with any questions, phone calls, anything, okay? All right, well, I am going to pass it on to Angela, and she will take it from here.
Hi, this is Angela Molina with the Tarrant County College Foundation. I will be going over the first time in college checklist and the BISD scholarship. And
Angela,
I know that some...
Angela, before you continue, I'm sorry, we're getting a feedback, so we just need to make sure. Go ahead and speak now and see if it's still continuing.
Okay, how does this sound?
That's better, yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I heard the feedback too. I was hoping y'all weren't. Okay, so I know some of the screens, especially on my side, the contact information is kind of small. So when we email, the presentation information, then I will also email a list of office contact numbers so that you don't have to struggle to see them. So don't worry about that. Oh, next. Sorry, Monica is handling the slides, so I will say next when I'm ready for her to go. So next. So this is the first time in college checklist. It's the 6 steps to success. So this is for all TCC students. So because you're coming into TCC, this will definitely need to be completed before you can receive the BISD scholarship. So I'm just going to walk through them. Step 1 is to apply for admission, and some of you may have already done that. So if you haven't, there is an online apply TCC application, and you would go to www.tccd.edu/apply-TCC. There is also Apply Texas, and if you've already done that, then that's okay. We accept that as well. And then the next thing you would want to do is apply for financial aid, and either through the FAFSA application or the TASFA application. There's 2 different ones. So I will go into further detail in a later slide about that. So step 2 would be the registrar's office, and this is where you submit any supporting documentation. So seniors, this is where you would submit your high school transcript. We want to make sure that it has the your date of graduation, so it has to be your final official transcript. And then you also have to submit evidence of your meningitis vaccination, and that has to have been completed within the past 5 years. And there are a couple of parents I've spoken to who are exempting, or there's a way to exempt yourself from the meningitis vaccination, and the forms are online. And then any of the following, if they apply to you, you would also have to submit. So residency documentation, and then as Monica was talking about, your ACT, SAT, or STAR scores for the exemptions, college transcripts if you're a dual credit student, and then DD 214 documentation if you have that, or tuition waivers. So that all gets submitted to the registrar's office. So step 3 is to meet with a success coach. And after step 6, you'll see like a little blue bar, and it has all the success coaches' emails, and Monica gave you the one for Northeast. So, but I'll include that in the email information. But they will be able to help you review this checklist, and some of the things that they'll be able to help you do is complete your pre-assessment activity, the PAW, which Monica talked about, obtain your TSI assessment test referral, set up your WebAdvisor and TCC email account. And those 2 things, WebAdvisor and your MyTCC email, are extremely important because that's how the school communicates with our students. And so if you ever have a question, it's always best to make sure that you're keeping current with those two. And then if you are undecided as to the major that you want to pursue, then you can do a request a My Plan referral that will help you figure that out. And then the last thing is if you're planning on enrolling in any online courses, then you can do an online readiness test just to make sure that you're ready for that step. Step 4 is the testing center, and Monica's covered all that information already. And step 5 is advising and counseling. So once you've completed your TSI score or TSI test, then you can schedule a session with advising and counseling. And in addition to being able to email them, if you go onto TCC's website and type in advising in the search bar, then you'll come onto their page and there's a chat bubble that pulls up. And that is how they are also addressing students' questions online. So they will be able to, once you set up an appointment with them, be able to interpret your TSI scores and kind of navigate you towards the appropriate courses for your level of college readiness. And then, like I mentioned before, if your major is undecided, you can bring your My Plan results to them and they'll, talk it out with you. And then they will schedule your new student group advisement. And so currently that's being done online. And then the final step is to attend the new student group advisement. And that just means that you get to learn the policies and procedures specifically for TCC, and then also information on how to register. And then that second part of that final step is to actually register for classes. So now we can move on to learn about the BISD Scholarship. Next. So the Birdville ISD Scholarship is a partnership between Birdville ISD and Tarrant County College. The scholarship funds tuition cost up to 15 in-county credit hours per semester. You do not have to attend that many hours. You have to do a minimum of 6, but it does cover up to 15. So that's a maximum of $960 per semester. Another question I get is, what if I want to do 18 hours? And that's okay too. BISD would cover the 15 credit hours for $960, and then that remaining 3 hours would be your responsibility. And then the scholarship is available for 2 consecutive semesters. Next. So eligibility requirements, who's eligible? So a student must be a BISD graduate who completed both their junior and senior year at a BISD school, so both years. And then TCC must be the student's first college of attendance. So if you graduate now and then you decide you want to go to Texas Wesleyan for the fall and then come back to TCC for the spring, you would not be eligible. So you must enroll at TCC and utilize the scholarship during the first fall or spring semester immediately following graduation. So for you seniors, it's the fall of 2020 or the spring of 2021 that would be those semesters. So you can sit out the fall of 2020. But if you don't start by the spring of 2021, then you forfeit the scholarship. You're not allowed to sit out a year. Next. So BISD Scholarship and other financial aid. So the BISD Scholarship is for students who qualify for less than $960 of financial aid per semester. So if you receive financial aid, let's say you receive a Pell Grant or anything else that exceeds that $960 a semester, which is the amount that BISD covers, you are not eligible to receive BISD, but that can be a good thing because it means you'll most likely be receiving more money. Now, if you receive financial aid less than $960 per semester and part of your tuition costs are unmet, then the BISD scholarship can pay the difference. So, for example, you're taking those 15 hours, your tuition is $960, and you receive a Pell Grant for $500 for the semester, then your tuition cost of $460 are still unmet, and that's what BISD can pick up. And then if you receive outside scholarships, you can also receive other scholarships in conjunction with BISD or a scholarship through the Tarrant County College Foundation to pay expenses outside of tuition. So just remember, BISD covers tuition only. So any books, supplies, anything else related to your educational journey will be your responsibility. Next. So application steps, and some of them we've already discussed in the first time in college, but applying to TCC is the first and most essential. But this one, or a reminder that to include your social security number. So it's not required for admissions, but it is the way that the FAFSA is able to be matched to your TCC student record. So if we don't have your social security number, we don't know what FAFSA to link, your record to. So if you've already applied and did not provide your social, which I know is the case, I've gotten calls and emails about that recently, just contact your TCC registrar and we'll provide that information to add your social to your student record. When we were on campus, they used to have you come in person with a copy or, with your social security card. It has changed. I think you can scan it in now. So, but contact them just to make sure that you're meeting the appropriate steps. And then step 2 is complete the BISD scholarship application. Parents, for any of you who have previous BISD, students, this is new for this year. So I know a lot of the students have already done this, but if you haven't, if you'll go to foundation.tccd.edu/BISD, then you can complete the application. And then step 3 is to review the senior checklist that was emailed to you to ensure you complete all items before the deadline. Most of it is on the first time in college. The biggest deadline that's coming up is June 1st, just to make sure that we have your FAFSA, and I'll go over that in a little bit too. But 4 is complete the financial aid process, and 5 is submit your high school transcript to TCC. Next. So the financial aid process, so there's the FAFSA and the TASFA. So the academic term that we're starting with the fall is the 2020-2021. So you would complete that 2020-2021 free application for federal student aid, which is what the FAFSA stands for. And the website is www.fafsa.ed.gov. And then in order for us to receive the records, you have to enter our school code. So that's 003626. And you can also search for our name, Tarrant County College District, if you happen to lose the code. And that ensures that we get your record. And then once you've done that, you want to check your self-service financial aid portal, which is accessible through your WebAdvisor account by June 1st. And that's coming up to confirm that we've received your FAFSA. That's a soft deadline. It just means that if by June 1st we haven't received it, then there's something that needs to be corrected. And so that gives you an entire month before the July 1st deadline to get everything taken care of. And if you're an undocumented student, then the application is through the Texas application for state financial aid, which is called the TASFA. And those forms can be found on the TCC Financial Aid website. And so I did put the link there. So those will have to be filled out and then sent to Student Financial Aid Services. Next. So if you fill out the FAFSA, there's a Department of Education randomly selects students for a process called verification. That's about 30% of our students. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong in the FAFSA. It just means they want to verify the information you provided with usually tax transcript information. So if you're selected, you have to provide additional information to Student Financial Aid Services so that they can complete that verification process. So make sure that you're checking your MyTCC email, because you will receive an email from Student Financial Aid Services, or you can check your self-service portal to find out what's needed, because they'll have a checklist of anything that is outstanding. And then, so for the FAFSA to be received and verification process to be completed, all of that has to be done by July 1st. So that's your hard deadline. So in order to qualify for the scholarship, you have to make sure that your FAFSA is in, and then your verification process is completed, if applicable, by that July 1st deadline. Next. So your high school transcript, you want to make sure that you submit a final official high school transcript, like I mentioned before, with your high school graduation date listed to TCC by July 1st. And I know this is, I think this is your final week for BISD. So if you have any questions on how to request that to be sent to us, or request it to be sent to you, depending on your high school, make sure you check with your high school counselor, and they'll have that information. And they may have already sent that to you. So dual credit students who have been dual credit at TCC are prevented from being awarded until after the graduation is confirmed. So there's an extra step for y'all. So once you've submitted your official high school transcript and selected a degree plan, dual credit students must notify Student Financial Aid Services so that they can be awarded. So a lot of times you've done everything else and you still don't see BISD on there. If you're a dual credit student, that may be why. You may have to reach out to financial aid. So you can call them at 817-515-4423, or you can go to fahelp@tccd.edu to send them an email. Next. Okay, and if I'm pausing, forgive me. I just want to make sure that y'all can see the screen. So registration requirements and payments. Students must register for a minimum of 6 credit hours. So as long as you register for at least 6 credit hours up to 15 credit hours, then you're eligible to use the BISD scholarship. Now, payments not required from the student as long as the BISD scholarship is on the student's account. So remember to check your self-service financial aid portal, and it will show you when BISD is on your account. With that being said, the first payment deadline for the fall semester is August 6th. So if you're waiting on something, to complete this process, you can register right now as long as you've gone through, the testing and, the first time in college checklist, and not have to make a payment. But if after August 6th, the scholarship has to be on your account in order for your classes to be held. So once it's on your classes, tuition is paid 10 days before fall classes begin. It's automatic. So there's nothing that you have to do once it has been applied to your account. Next. So once you have the BISD scholarship, you want to definitely renew it for the next semester. So that's what this is, renewal requirements. So if you meet the following, you can renew it for your second and final semester. So you must achieve a minimum semester GPA of 2.5, complete a minimum of 6 credit hours. So even if you take 12 hours, you only have to complete 6. Meet with an academic advisor 3 times during the semester. And this is just so that you start to develop a relationship with them and to possibly prevent you from dropping below a 2.5 or dropping or failing too many credit hours. It's so that you are always in constant contact with someone who can help you. And then for students who decide to start the scholarship in the spring, a new FAFSA for the next academic term would need to be completed by July 1st, because the fall starts the beginning of a new term. So we go fall, spring, and summer as part of an academic term. Next. Okay, so this comes to the close of my presentation, and we just want to tell you how excited we are about our continued partnership with the Birdville ISD in support of our amazing students and future TCC trailblazers. So we are just very excited to get to know each of you and to help support your educational journey. So thank you so much for attending. We will go on to questions now. So Monica, you can go on next. We have a Q&A where you can ask a question, and we will try to answer some of them here now, but if we don't get to your question, then rest assured that we will be sending out that information via email to you. And then Monica, go ahead and show the last slide so they can see our contact information as well. So if we didn't answer a question, or if it's a specific personal situation and you prefer to talk to us, you can call us. The main number is 817-515-5277, and Susan is the person who answers that line. And then my number, Angela, is 817-515-5423. And like Monica mentioned, 7:30 to 6, you're welcome to call us or email us. And the email is foundation.info@tccd.edu. Most of you have my email as well, since I sent you out reminders for this. So either email works, whatever avenue is best for you. And let's see, let's look at the questions.
It looks like we're good on questions right now.
Okay, so we'll keep it live for a couple more minutes in case you want to use the Q&A feature. And then after that, if nothing new comes up, then we'll close the event.
Angela, there's a question about if it's a certificate program as opposed to a degree program. Does that affect the BISD scholarship?
Students can do certificate programs as well, so they are still eligible as long as they meet the other criteria. So there's another question. Will this presentation be available as a recording, and if so, how? Yes, it's pretty big in size, and so what we will do is post it to our website and then email you the link to view it on our website. That way you have the recorded information and the PowerPoint as well.
Question about the firefighting program, and specifically already has some hours, and would the scholarship apply?
Go ahead and email that question, because I would have to look into your situation specifically. So, but you can already have completed hours, especially if you're a dual credit student. That the number of hours that you've already completed does not negate the BISD scholarship. So you don't have to start, as the first time in college with no hours under your belt. If you've done dual credit, then you may have some credits that you've already earned, and you would still be eligible for the BISD scholarship. So there's another question, can it be used to just take your basics? Yes. So it can be used if you're a transfer student. You would still have to select a degree plan, for example, an Associate of Arts, which is our most general one. And then as long as you're taking courses, on that degree plan, then yes, at the end of your 2 semesters, then you would be able to transfer to another institution.
And if they want to study for 2 years, will the scholarship apply to the second year also?
No, this scholarship is only for 2 consecutive semesters, which is 1 academic year. The only time it's in 2 different academic years is when a student decides to sit out the fall semester. So they would start spring of 2021. That would be their first semester, and then their next semester would fall in the second or the following academic year, but it would be their final. So it would still only be for 2 semesters. So that second year would be the student responsibility.
And then a really important question, once all of the steps have been completed, how will an individual know if they've received the BISD scholarship?
That's a great question, and one we've been getting a lot of. So once you have run or have been awarded the BISD scholarship, Student Financial Aid Services will send you an email with instructions on how to view your award letter. And that is done through the self-service portal, which it's on this slide, or on this presentation, it's accessible through your web advisor. So if you go into your web advisor account under the student menu, you'll see a financial aid section on the right-hand side, and then you'll see a link that says self-service financial aid portal. You will click on that link and then enter the same credentials, your same username and password as web advisor to get into self-service, and they will have a place where you can see your award letter, and you should be able to see BISD scholarship on there. If you do not see that and you think you have completed everything, then definitely reach out so I can review your account.
Okay, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Angela, Monica, and me very much appreciate the information sharing. We are going to do some follow-up with the questions via email. Appreciate everyone who attended. Doug, also thank you for your support tonight and making sure that this went well for us. We appreciate it. Did anyone have any last comments before I end the presentation?
I just wanted to echo my thanks to everyone who attended, and I know this goes fast and there's a lot of information, but do not hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. So we would love to help you, get a better understanding of, what you need to do. So thank you.
Yeah, and just before we close, a couple of questions have come up just about contacting. The contact information for the foundation is a good start point at 817-515-5277 or 817-515-5277. 5423. Then we can discuss your specific question, how it relates to you, and then ensure that we hand you off to the appropriate resources within the college to be able to get an answer for any questions that you might have to your specific circumstances. All right. Well, thank you all again very much. I'm going to go ahead and close the presentation and have a wonderful evening.